Good morning, students. Last week we have discussed about the French Revolution. Today we are entering into the Russian Revolution. The background to which led into the revolution. Now let us see. There was a French Revolution in 1789, and due to the educational changes, Europe had a lot of changes. Industrialization was taking place. People began to leave their village life and go to cities. So cities began to develop. And when the cities began to develop, people have come and gathered together, they had their problems. And the people had a more leisure time to think about the social problems. And the printing press has given them more chance to think by the philosophers. Because a factory worker, after doing the factory job, he is relaxed. He has no much other work. If he is in a village, a farmer never gets a time to think more. He is fully engaged in different kinds of activities. Here it is not like that. So that free time and free thinking by the people who are living in cities began to think what we should do. So a new division in French society is taking place. There are three groups of people in French society. They are known as liberals, radicals, and conservatives. So keep in mind, liberals, radicals, and conservatives. These three groups of people were there mainly in European society. And all those people who are living in cities are employed in different factories, are having very good chance of education and very good access to the latest developments in the printing technology and read them writings about the writings by the philosophers are having the chance. That we must understand. So this group of people began to think what should be done. So liberals were telling that there should be religious tolerance. That was the thing. Religious tolerance means whether a person wants to believe in religion or not to believe in religion or not believe in any religion, anything, it should be left to the individual to decide. Governments should not interfere in the activities of religious thinking of the individual. That's a religious tolerance. Accept other person to believe in anything or not to believe or leave him. That's a religious tolerance that they were asking. Then they were thinking the king's power should be reduced. King should not have that much power. As Montesquieu has told, division of power should take place. That was the demand of liberals. Division of power means there should be executive, there should be legislature, and there should be judiciary. So king should be only one, not all the three. So that was the demand of the liberals. And these ideas were supported by radicals as well as conservatives also. They wanted individuals should have rights. Not only the rulers should have rights, individuals also. The king should not arrest any person without any reason. Or the executive should not do any harm to any individual without the proper rules and regulations. Nobody should be punished without a proper trial. So those were the demands of the people having individual rights. Then they supported democratic government, but they were not supporting the vote for women. They supported democratic elected government, they support. But these liberals were telling only those who are having education and money, rich, only they should get a right to vote. But radicals were telling no, everybody should get a right to vote. Universal adult franchise was not supported by liberals at that time. But radicals supported it. That is the difference. They wanted an independent judiciary. That's another aspect. Judiciary should be independent. Means should not be controlled by the executive. Judiciary should have the complete freedom to decide whether a person has done a mistake or not. That was the thinking of liberals. They did not support even women to have the right to vote. So the liberals supported only a rich person's right to vote. No women, no poor person, no children. They wanted independent judiciary. They wanted an elected government to control the kings or the executive. That is, they wanted the equal share or equal respect for them also. Like any others. That was the demand of the liberals. When we come to radicals were telling they wanted pure democracy. That means voting right to every adult, whether male or female, rich or poor, educated or illiterate, whatever. Everybody should get an equal right to. That was the idea of radicals. It was not supported by liberals. It was not supported by conservatives. You understand the difference? They are telling radicals told women also should get right to vote. And radicals were absolutely against any kind of privilege to any sections of the society. Everybody should be treated equally. He belonged to the royal family, he belonged to a rich person, he belonged to a poor person, he is educated or no, everybody should be treated. Equality should be maintained. That was the idea of radicals. It was not propagated by conservatives or liberals. But they also did not stop private property. There was not much socialist thinking at that time. They supported private property. But they were not happy that one person becomes rich and another person doesn't become poor and poor. So they told a minimum. Some individual can run a factory, but all the profit should not be kept by him. Private property is okay, but not large scale. Okay? Midway of the society. That was the idea of radicals. But the but the conservatives were not ready for any kind of changes. But a little bit later, after the French Revolution, they also began to think changes are taking place. So they also wanted to have some changes. So the three sections of society: radicals, liberals and conservatives. Conservative meaning of the word is preserving the old one. They wanted the things as it is. Liberals are having, but not fully free, not radical life. Some changes. That's a liberal minded. Some changes are, but not full. Radicals are completely free. They wanted everything to be free. Complete. Every individual should be completely free. That's the differences of the French society in the beginning of 19th century. That you must understand. Because of this kind of social setup and due to education changes, trade, development of machines, revolutions, reformations in Europe, scientific achievements in Europe, industrial revolution has taken place. Progress of the production methods. And people who are living in the villages began to come to cities. When people are coming to the cities, there should be facilities for them to stay. There should be facilities for their sanitation. So it was very difficult. So that was one setup of the problem of the society at that time. Education helped them for this kind of things. People began to come. So factories needed technicians. So they began to set up factories or training centers, apprentice for the persons who want to become expert in the industrial field. So institutions have come up. People who have come from the villages and cities, the factories began to appoint them at a cheaper rate because children, ladies, everybody. And there is no fixed rule or anything at how much time they must work, what should be the salary. So naturally, supply of the workers were plenty. So salary was very less. Time of work was 12 hours to 13 hours, 14 hours, 8 hours. It depends on the factory owner. Not depending on the person who is working. Because if one person tells, I am not ready to work for that many hours, there are other person who is ready to work in that time. Because unemployment was so much. So that was the situation. So that led into the industrial revolution progress, and they got a lot of profits, factories. And the private individual who has started factories become more rich and more wealthier. He began to control the things. That all these kind of social problems were taking place in European society. Some section of society wanted the privileges given to the upper sections to be stopped because they are new educated middle class people. They wanted a place in the society. They began to think they are equal to the others, so they should get privileges. And so there was socialist society in Europe, thinking in Europe. Revolutionary changes have taken place. After the defeat of Napoleon at Waterloo, the European kings had gathered together Vienna. Vienna is the capital of Austria. That's a country named Austria. It is between Italy, France and Germany. That's a country named Austria. That capital of Austria is Vienna because that was a prominent kingdom at that time. Austria-Hungarian Empire. So they met at the capital of Austria, that is Vienna, and they gave back the kingdoms to old kings who were ruling in Europe, who were removed by Napoleon and due to the effect of the French Revolution. So the people were not ready to accept it. So there were changes, there were protests against the administration of the new kings that had come up in Europe. So there were a demand for changes, and that demand made unification of Germany. Germany was divided into small kingdoms. They are known as Prussia, was the leading kingdom in that. So all the kingdoms who were speaking German languages came together, and in 1870, Prussia became Germany and formed Germany. That we will study in next year. The same way, Italy, all the Italian-speaking kingdoms in that area, Sardinia, Piedmont, all Rome, everybody together, it was formed in the same year. So Italy was formed, Germany was formed, Russia. Movements were there in Russia. Industrial revolutions were taking place. Russian government was trying to bring up changes. So there were demands in Russia also. And the revolutionary ideologists, people like Ouseph Mazzini of Italy, he formed an organization named Young Europe, Young Italy, Young Germany, Young Greek, etc., to bring out a revolution in European society. So he supported really the unification of Italy and Germany, but ultimately in Germany and in Italy, kingship has come into existence. That we will study later, next year. So, then we will go back to the other changes in society. Now, the idea of socialism. What is socialism? Equal sharing of wealth. If I am having this pen, it is not my property, it is the property of the community, of the society. Everybody has got equal right on this. That is the socialism. The mobile which I charge is of the community. Community may give me that material, but community decides what should I do. So there's communism. Socialism will have government. When it comes to community, all people are living in a happy relationship. Everybody is ready to share whatever is needed for others. The community has no friction among themselves. That's a dream society where there is not even a government is needed. Everything goes on. So that ideological system came up in Europe. These socialist society, socialist thinkers were against private property. They told him no need of private property. No thinking of private property by anybody. Ownership is of the society, of the community, the people. Everybody living in that area, working in a factory, all of them are owners. All of them are responsible for everything in the factory. One may be management and doing the controlling activities, one may be putting a screw, but all are equally responsible. And whatever the profit that is coming, it will be equally shared. That kind of idea. It's a very good idea. So, this idea, so they told everything should be cooperation, a cooperative. Cooperative. So I told a person who puts nut and a person who manages the business activities, everything, all are equal. They have got different responsibilities in different areas. So cooperative, they work together. So there is somebody to control other one, nobody to control or anything else. It's on response. So that kind of society, that's an imaginative, very good society. But it is very difficult to take place. So that kind of thinking was there. And this idea of cooperative was implemented in USA by a person named Robert Owen. In his factory, he implemented the policy whereas all members will have equal share of the company's income or profit. In France, this idea was implemented by a person named Louis Blanc. Then we come to see the most important persons who are given the idea of socialism in Europe, that is Karl Marx and his friend Frederick Engels. They have written a book, together they have co-authored, book named Das Kapital and Communist Manifesto. So this Das Kapital and Communist Manifesto deals clearly about the wealth created and who is having control of the wealth, the sharing of the property, everything is written in those. And those ideas, equal sharing of the property, equal sharing of the wealth, equal power for everybody, that was being thought about in European society. No profit, workers should run the factory, communist society, everything is natural progress, is supported. And in England, in Germany, political parties came up in supporting it. In England, the present party, Labour Party, came into existence in 1905 by the working group of people. But Labour Party is not implementing the socialist ideology which they have started in the beginning. And in Germany also there were socialist political parties. In France also socialist political parties. But these political parties could never come to power because there were radicals and liberals and conservatives who were not following the ideology of socialism. So naturally the governments were elected by either radicals or liberals, and most of the time it is liberals or conservatives. Radicals were not getting, even socialists, but they have formed political parties and they were trying to. And those political parties which have been formed with an ideology of socialism later on became a liberal parties. They were not ready to follow socialistic pattern of society because it is not possible to be really implemented in the real life. Okay, thank you very much.